Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna talk about wisdom teeth. The reason why I wanted to make this video is because I personally was terrified of the surgery because I heard so many horror stories that I basically freaked out. So I want to tell you my experience. It's only personal experience, obviously it's different for everybody, but I thought I'd tell you because it's interesting. I basically split that video in 4 parts: the beginning with the diagnosis and the problems, the before the surgery, during the surgery and after the surgery. So buckle up, we're in for a ride. So let's start at the beginning. So I just regularly went to my dentist and I knew that my wisdom teeth basically had to get out of my mouth. But I always kept pushing it off and ignoring it because it wasn't bothering me really much, so I just pushed it back and back and back for 4 years or something, which is bad. Don't do that. So I'll tell you something about the diagnosis and how my teeth were. Now, the 2 upper wisdom teeth grew like this, so outwards, which meant they basically chewed on my cheek from the inside. And when they broke through the gums, which was a few months ago, they got infected and they hurt really much. That was the point where they actually started bothering me in my regular life. They were infected for one and a half weeks or something like that, and that went away, which was fine with me because that hurt a lot. So those had to get out of there because they were gnawing on my cheek. The bottom left one was perfectly fine, perfect tooth, very loving. I really liked it while it was there, didn't bother me at all. And this one, the right bottom tooth, was the asshole tooth that basically grew like this. It pushed onto the other teeth. So the diagnosis basically was they're all, except for this, not right and they need to go. All 4 of them need to go. Here's why. The problem with all of them was they couldn't be properly cleaned because the upper teeth I couldn't reach with a toothbrush properly. This one that grew perfectly fine was under the gums still because the teeth break through and you have a piece of gum still on there usually, and when your teeth are right it just bites off basically, which is perfectly fine, it's perfectly normal, it doesn't hurt, but that wasn't happening because this tooth, the upper left, obviously didn't get onto the bottom tooth, I would say. It couldn't bite onto it, so the gum stayed on there. This one didn't come out at all, so I obviously couldn't clean it anyway, and it grew onto the back teeth, which caused them to tilt slightly, and every time I ate something sweet, it hurt. So basically the diagnosis was they all have to get out, otherwise I will probably get caries on multiple or all of them, and that wouldn't be good. For me there was one additional problem because down here, basically, through your jaw, there's a nerve that gives you feeling in your bottom lip. That nerve goes right here, basically. So my problem was usually the tooth is there and the nerve is right under the tooth through your jaw, which was on the left side perfectly fine, was the case. On the right side, however, it basically went through the tooth. Now, they weren't sure if it was between its roots, because I had one root. Usually teeth have two roots, but mine had one. That's normal as well. Sometimes that happens. And they weren't sure if it basically was either like this, like the nerve went through it, or if it went around at the back, basically, or at the front, because you can't see that on a normal x-ray. So I had to get computer tomography, is that what it's called? I'm just gonna call it that, where you basically see all the blood vessels and the nerves, where they lay exactly. So I got that done. They said it was fine. The only problem, if it would have went through, would have been they had to saw it open and then crack it. But I'm gonna get to that. Before the surgery, I had heard multiple horror stories from one of my friends telling me she got only 2 removed at once and then never wanted to go back and now keeps pushing it off, which she shouldn't do, but whatever, none of my business. And another friend telling me that it was really, really horrible for her and it hurt and she couldn't eat and she could only like open her mouth 1 finger width and stuff like that. And that didn't bother me too much at first. Actually, that didn't bother me too much at all, but it didn't help. So in the morning, I had my surgery on a Tuesday. Tuesday morning, they tell you have breakfast normally, so your whole circulation is fine. You won't pass out when they give you the anesthesia. Now, in the morning I had breakfast. I was like slightly nervous already, but it was still half fine. I did worry. My biggest concern was, for some reason, if I could take a little plushie with me or not. The whole procedure, I wasn't scared of the whole procedure because my mother is a dental assistant and I am not scared of a dentist. I swear I am far from scared from a dentist. That is by far my favorite doctor to go to. So, I mean, one reason could be that my mom works there, but whatever. So I wasn't scared of the procedure. My biggest concern at this point was if I could take that plushie with me, because I really, really needed that. Because I need something to fiddle with or to hold on to. I can't keep my hands still. So I worried about that. Then my mother turns to me and says, oh, you know, later your whole mouth basically will be numb, so just pay attention that you don't bite on your tongue. And I was like, so basically I shouldn't talk or I'll bite my tongue off? And she was like, yeah, basically. I started crying right there. Right there and then I started crying as fuck. Because I was like, I don't want to bite my tongue off. Oh my god, can I take my plushie? Will this be okay? Oh my god. The whole social setting made me far more nervous than them taking teeth out of my head. And I started crying. It was the most miserable breakfast I've ever had because I basically ate a bread roll crying on my bread roll, like, I don't wanna bite my tongue off, I don't want to do this. Then I tried to calm down, I calmed down a bit, and then I started crying again. This repeated several times. I panicked the whole way. Now we drove there, I was in the waiting room, and I was like, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry in front of other people. Don't cry. And then I thought about it again. And I just started silently sobbing. Tears running down my face. And that's when the dental assistant came in and was like, oh, you can come into the room. And I was like, can I take my plushie, She was like, yes, of course, no problem, just take it with you. And my mother came with me into the room. So now I'm gonna tell you something about the whole procedure. If you're freaked out or you don't want to know how they do it, I will leave an annotation somewhere so you can skip. So, disclaimer said. They give you anesthesia. Usually it's just local anesthesia. And how it's done is it's a syringe, obviously with a needle, and they just basically poke the inside of the tooth and the outside of the tooth, the gums obviously, into the gums on every tooth that has to be removed. I got all of them removed at once because I was like, I'm not doing this twice. No way. I will do it one and for all. They set the anesthesia, then you wait 10 to 15 minutes. After about 10 minutes, an assistant came in and was like, okay, I'm gonna test if it works already. And they basically have these little hook things and they poke your gums, and you have to tell them if you are allowed to feel pressure but no stinging sensation, because they basically poke your gums. So she tested it and it was fine except for this tooth. I felt a stinging there. So she was like, okay, we'll wait a little more and we'll put a little more in there. So the doctor came and he put a little more anesthesia in there, which was fine. And then they started on this side, on the bottom right tooth, which was the most complicated. It also took the longest time because this one wasn't outside the gums yet, so it couldn't be just pulled. They had to basically take it out, but it sounds all more horrible than it actually is. What they did was they started with the bottom right. As I said, they obviously opened the gums, and then he was like, I think we're gonna separate it. We saw it through, which they did. They just basically saw through it and then cracked it open, which gives a weird crack, but it's fine. It's not that bad, really. It doesn't hurt at all. You can feel pressure, as I said, but it's fine. They cracked it open and then they took it out and then they stitched it up. He was really, really fast. Very, very good doctor, hands down. I am very glad I went to that doctor because he has a lot of routine and you can really see it and feel it when he does it. So this one was out at that point and they moved on to this one. That was literally like, okay, we're gonna do this one, clack, it's out! We're gonna stitch it up. And I was like, what? Where'd it go? What the hell? Then I wanted to do this. And every tooth except the bottom right could be just pulled out. So he wanted to do this, he starts pulling and I'm like, "Urgh!" And he's like, oh, does that hurt? Okay, then we're gonna put some more anesthesia in. Made myself known, and they tell you, or at least they told me, if anything is wrong, if you have a problem, make yourself known and they will pay attention to you. They did with me. They immediately stopped when they realized that hurt me and put more anesthesia in, and during that process he saw that this one was slightly, just a tiny bit infected because, as I mentioned before, it was still under the gums half, so I couldn't clean it properly and it got a little bit infected. But that was no further problem. They then pulled the upper left tooth, which was exactly as quick as the upper right, and then finally the lower left tooth. They all stitched it up. I had stitches everywhere, which was fine as well. and that was the procedure. So how I felt during it, as I said, I was really panicking before, just because of the whole setting, not the procedure, really. I swear to you, it was not that what freaked me out. I basically was holding on to my tiny plush llama so hard, like, please protect me. You are my friend. You need to save me. They were so quick that kind of made me a little nervous because it was so much routine, and he was like, we're gonna do this and this and this and this and this, and I was like, okay, just do it. I don't want to know, because I'm someone, I don't want to know what you're doing there. I trust you, just do it. Please, just, you know, don't tell me. But it was fine in the end. And I was shaking. I've never ever in my life been shaken that much. I literally was like this, and my legs, my knees were shaking like this as well. It was really stressful, but it was just like the whole situation. It wasn't because it was painful at all. I swear, after the surgery, my whole mouth was numb. I couldn't talk. I had to go back the next day to get something. They basically put in something like cotton to absorb, I don't know, blood, I guess. I had to go back the next day to get that removed, but that was absolutely fine as well. It didn't bother me. The only thing, like, you could feel that the inner part of my cheeks was a little swollen because it felt like I was kind of biting gum on gum. I could chew the first day right away. As soon as I had feeling back in my mouth, I was able to chew sausage. I could open my mouth relatively wide, about 2 fingers width, I'd say. Yeah, which is a lot for after that surgery, I've been told. They said that the next day when I came back. So I was pretty fine. What I did was I cooled it. I had cool pads wrapped in a towel and just held it onto my face. I held my head high because they tell you you shouldn't lay flat or with your head lower than your body because there's circulation. I had ibuprofen that the doctor gave me, which I took if it hurt. It still hurt a little after I took them, but it was just rather an uncomfortable feeling than actual pain. Then you can't do sports for a week or anything that is like heavy work for your body because your circulation then is different. I only drank water. I had a disinfectant mouthwash that my mother said I should use, which was really good as well. You obviously have to regularly brush your teeth so it doesn't get infected. And I personally almost had no swelling. You could see the right side of my face was a tiny bit, the tiniest bit bigger than the left side, but it wasn't really noticeable when you looked at me, honestly. Now, what I want to conclude is I can't speak for everyone. This is only my personal experience. I think I've been very lucky because my teeth were not infected. I had a really good doctor and I took proper care of it. I'm very glad I got all of them removed at once. That would have been annoying to go back. Also, what I forgot to mention is you get the stitches taken out a week after. I got them taken out on Wednesday. And this is me right now, a week and a half after the surgery. So I'm completely fine. I've survived. I've not had any complications. Again, this is only personal experience. Everybody is different. You might have a different doctor, you might have more complicated lying teeth, you might have easier lying teeth. Maybe all of your teeth can be pulled. Maybe you don't even have wisdom teeth, because there are people that don't have wisdom teeth or only have 3 or 2 or 1. Doesn't matter. Everybody is different. For everybody it's different. Not only because of the medical condition and the doctor, but also because of your personality. But from the bottom of my heart, I can tell you and I can assure you I was completely fine, and it was not worth the panic. So I hope you enjoyed me talking about this experience. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will try my best to answer it. Other than that, don't let your friends make you scared. And I will see you in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a really wonderful day, and I'm gone now. Goodbye!